Part 48. Lord of all people, am I the only one in the fallen empire? Author, Mishita Di. Chapter 472. After being stunned by the sentence for half a second, Wade couldn't help but ask Sasha, "Can you repeat it again?" Sasha tilted her head strangely. "So, can I have a bite?" Sure enough, his ancient machine language program was updated incorrectly. Full of doubts, Wada tried back and forth several times before he was finally convinced that his translation system was not wrong. It turns out that there is something wrong with the human brain on the other side of the communication. Forced calming emotion simulation system. Wade looked at Sasha on the other side of the communication seriously. "Besides the sentence, you should have something else to say to us, right? Like, you're our compatriot or something." He didn't quite believe it. Sasha contacted them at the risk of exposing her coordinates just to ask if they could give her a bite. Come on, they are silicon-based life forms. Even the Zerg, which claims to devour all things, most branch communities do not eat silicon-based life forms. Before Sasha could respond to the other party. Seeing that Sasha was really chatting with the Omnic Lord on the other side of the communication, Gao Qiang couldn't help but ask, "What are you talking about?" "Ah, it's nothing." Sasha went over what Wada said just now in her mind. "It seems that the other side wants to treat us to eat steamed buns or something. Invite us to eat steamed buns." After hearing Sasha's translation, everyone present had a question mark on their head. "Don't tell me, this Omnic Lord is quite friendly." "Oh, Lord, don't interrupt, let me talk to the other side again." Sasha waved her hand to signal everyone not to disturb her, and then looked at Wade with serious eyes. "You agreed to treat Sasha to some steamed buns, don't go back on your word." "What buns?" Wade's logic module was almost shut down by Sasha again. If there was no problem with his storage, the word he just used in the question was the word compatriot, not Baizai. So is there really nothing wrong with his translation system? After going back and forth, Wade once again had doubts about his software. "Yeah, you just asked Sasha if she wanted to eat steamed buns." Sasha nodded matter-of-factly. Finally realizing something was wrong, Wade's electronic prosthetic eye gradually turned red. "So are you kidding me? You dialed this communication just to ask if we have any buns? Don't you think so?" Sasha instantly became alert and looked at Wade with suspicion. "You can sell the iron bumps on your body for a lot of money, so you can't afford a bun, right?" Hearing that Sasha was still comparing herself with Baizai, Wade finally fell into anger. At this moment, Wade was finally sure that the man in front of him was simply playing a trick on him. "That's enough, we don't need buns at all." After scolding Sasha sternly, Wade issued an ultimatum in a warning tone. "If this is all you want to say, then there is no need for us to continue communicating. Your words will be your last words, and your body will be its final contribution to the great Omnic. So, there really are no steamed buns." Sasha looked like she was abandoned at first. Even his mood became angry. "You don't mean what you say. If Sasha can't see the buns, just wait for Sasha to remove your heads and make them into bread machines. Steamed buns, why are they still steamed buns?" He was obviously talking about compatriots. Wade was so angry that the CPU was a little overheated. "That's enough, there's no need for us to talk anymore." After angrily hanging up the communication with Sasha, Wade turned directly to look at the other lords in the main network. "The other party is not our compatriot and is ready to strike." Except for Milan, who was still panicking, the other Omnic lords nodded. As the order was given. In a dead star system, the nano-torrent that frightens countless races is aimed at the coordinates of Gao Qiang. Immediately afterwards, a silver-white torrent spurted out and cut through the sky. The attack trajectory of the nano-torrent was quickly discovered by surrounding civilizations. Yes, the ultimate strategy of the Omnic clan. Are those iron lumps carrying out ultimate strikes too frequently recently? If I remember correctly, the last place that was destroyed by Omnics should be the gathering place of the Zeta clan, right? Every lord who discovered it had his own little thoughts. There is sympathy, silence, and more of schadenfreude. After all, in the Dark Ages, except for the lords of the clan, everyone is an enemy, the kind of enemy who cannot communicate. Omnics can help them clear out the enemies lurking in the dark, and it's not too late for them to be happy. Of course, it would be better if the Omnics didn't continue to gain strength as a result. Despite this thought, no one dares to act rashly in the face of the terrifying Omnic clan. After all, Omnics have destroyed too many lords over the years, and they have countless ultimate strategic weapons in their hands. Even if they know that the Omnics are getting stronger, they can only pray that the arrogance of the Omnics will provoke enemies they should not provoke. Yes, as long as they continue to hide, the Omnics will one day be destroyed by their own hands. Many lords believed so. On the other side, in the command room of the space station, Gao Qiang watched Huade turn off the communication, and couldn't help but ask Shasha, what on earth did the other side say? Why do you look so unhappy? Sasha sobbed and wiped away the tears from her eyes with a forced smile. Nothing. It was just that the other party said, Lord, you look like a bun, and then Sasha had a big quarrel with the other party. Then the other party didn't quarrel with Sasha, and threatened to kill all of us and make buns. Did the other party really say that? Gao Qiang looked at Sasha suspiciously. Yeah, really, Sasha nodded fiercely. The 2 tears that were finally held back were thrown away without a trace. Gao Qiang was speechless for a moment. He couldn't imagine what the iron lumps of intelligent machines were doing by making buns. Is this some strange code? Or is it a unique threat method of silicon-based civilization to carbon-based civilization? But at this moment, the alarm sounded suddenly. Alarm, alarm. Stellar strike force detected. Currently 10.2 light-years, 10.1 light-years away from our coordinates. What a fast speed. When Gao Qiang thought about this, the star map automatically popped up in the center of the control room and began to track the moving image of the nanotorrent in real time. According to the current speed of the nanotorrent, in half an hour at most, the strike will sweep across the star field where Gao Qiang is. I'm going to be made into a bun. After seeing this scene, the disaster in Gao Qiang's arms trembled slightly and bit his lips tightly. In the end, he couldn't hold it back. He cried out, Lord of all people, am I the only one in the fallen empire? Author, Me Shida Di. Chapter 473. The crying swept the entire control room in an instant. Countless technicians who were not mentally prepared experienced the horror of the devil's sound in an instant. The layers of crying surrounded the entire control room, pressuring everyone's eardrums and nerves. Finally, a technician sitting at the operating table couldn't help but stand up. Master, I'm a little constipated, I'll take a leave today. After saying that, without waiting for Gao Qiang to agree, he ran out of the hatch like escaping. Naughty children are really scary. At this time, a weak voice came from another direction. Master, my period came today, I want to go back and take care of her. The person who spoke was a girl who looked quiet and gentle. After trying to say this, her face was already blushing. But she still bowed quickly and said at a very fast speed, Master, I'm sorry. Then she ran out of the hatch in an instant. In an instant, the voices came from all directions. Lord, I have a stomachache today. I'm going to the toilet first. Lord, I'm allergic to humans. I'm going to the hospital. Lord. When Gao Qiang came back to his senses, the entire control room was empty. Only Juluo and Shasha were standing next to him with headphones. Oh, and there was Yimen. Gao Qiang glanced at Yimen, who seemed fine, and almost forgot about her, even though she was not a human. But even so, the entire control room was a little empty at the moment. And the crying of disaster continued. In desperation, Gao Qiang could only look at Yimen for help. I can't coax children. I can only scare them and then eat them. Yimen told the truth. By the way, he also made a face at disaster. In an instant, disaster cried even louder. Woo woo woo, don't let disaster turn into a bun, don't let disaster be eaten. Okay, don't change. Gao Qiang coaxed disaster in a child's tone, while glaring at Chasha. Why say something so depressing as turning into a bun? Now all the technicians in the control room have been scared away, and the final strategic weapon of the intelligent machine is still flying. It's really a disastrous start. Warning, the attack is coming. Estimated remaining time, 20 minutes. Please choose countermeasures or emergency shelter. Obviously, the ruthless voice of the intelligent space station has stimulated disaster again. Disaster cried a little more fiercely, and Gao Qiang's clothes were wet with tears. It seemed that he couldn't bear to watch disaster crying anymore. Finally, the reminder of the war game came late. You have triggered the ancestor protection feature of disaster, and a powerful ancient fleet is folding. The next moment after the reminder sound ended, Gao Qiang saw countless ripples appear outside the space station. The fleet Yonghui has been temporarily included in your command. The moment the ripples disappeared, warships with mysterious purple ripples appeared in the void. At the same time, the communication in the control room was connected. This is the Yonghui unmanned mothership. Please rest assured that we will fight for your life until the last moment. After hearing the word Yonghui, the crying of disaster became a little quieter. Timidly sticking his head out of Gao Qiang's arms, disaster asked carefully, will disaster be made into a bun? Please rest assured, the AI in the Yonghui mothership assured again. We will do our best. At this time, it was less than 15 minutes before the nanotorrent arrived at Gao Qiang's coordinates. The Yonghui fleet group was seen directly dispersed to all corners of the galaxy. The Yonghui fleet is about to deploy a defensive form. Please prepare all units. Accompanied by a reminder from the Yonghui mothership, a strange feeling enveloped Gao Qiang's body. At this moment, he seemed to be no longer himself, and the whole person had the illusion of ascending. In Gao Qiang's eyes, the world seemed to have become a plane that expanded infinitely to the left and right. Gao Qiang was outside this plane, becoming an outsider who had nothing to do with the plane. Subconsciously opening the interface of the Yonghui fleet, Gao Qiang found the introduction of this defense form. Large-scale dimensional folding device. Introduction: people in the painting cannot hurt anything outside the painting. Effect 1, protect the selected planet or space station, and temporarily fold into a higher dimension. Effect 2, three-dimensional conventional detectors and strike forces are ineffective against the target protected by this device. The silver beam brought by the nanotorrent flashed in Gao Qiang's eyes. It passed through everything in the star system very naturally, as if the two were not in the same world, without any contact at all. It was not until the attack of the nanotorrent was completely gone that Gao Qiang finally exited the high-dimensional state and returned to his normal five senses. At the same time, the congratulations from the Yonghui mothership came. It is my honor to see you all safe and sound. At the same time, new prompts appeared in the war game. You have unlocked the war reasons against the Robot Lord XX, humiliation, punishment. Two war reasons appeared at the same time. Looking at the prompt in front of him, Gao Qiang was a little suspicious. If he hadn't chosen the recycling technology at the beginning, there might be more war reasons for vigilance. However, two war reasons are actually enough. Human Lord XX has declared war on you, war reason, punishment. In the central main network, Ward received a reminder of the war game. To be honest, there are lords who will declare war in advance in the Dark Ages, but they are rare. After all, Most lords are more accustomed to using ultimate strategic weapons to instantly kill the enemies they find. There is no war, so there is no need to declare war. However, it is the human lord who declared war on him. Ward's processor calculated a bad conclusion. Quick, check the results of our nanotorrent attack. Report, according to the probe response. It seems that our ultimate strategic weapon has directly passed through the original coordinate point. When seeing this data, the responding intelligent mechanical unit seemed a little unbelievable. After all, according to the accuracy of intelligent machines, it should be impossible to strike biasedly when the coordinate location is known. Moreover, the nanotorrent did hit the coordinate point. As for why it passed through, no similar possibility has been found in the database of the entire central main network. After all, that was a star system target. Wasn't it too outrageous to dodge the attack of the nanotorrent directly? But this also confirmed one thing for Ward. The human who sent them the communication should still be alive. When he thought of Sasha's last words, that he wanted to make his head into a bread machine, Ward was covered by an uncontrollable anger. Although he didn't understand why he was angry about such a small matter. But get ready for battle. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord of all people, am I the only one in the fallen empire? Author, MaleProtagonist. Chapter 474. In the control room, as Gao Qiang declared war on Huade. The entire control room was instantly enveloped by red light. Countless floating command boxes were projected around Gao Qiang. In view of your war, the defense facility incineration core has been approved for use. After the war was launched, the first response was actually the defense facility. Gao Qiang looked at the scene with some surprise. He thought the territory's fleet would be there first. However, looking at the silence in the communication channel at present, the starships of Eternal Shadow did not seem to have any reaction. Then let's take a look at what kind of capabilities the incineration core has. Thinking of this, Gao Qiang opened the panel of the incineration core. Incineration core. Introduction. Our power is enough to make civilization retreat. Therefore, the best defense is to make our opponents lose the means to attack us forever. Features: quantum information targeting, anti-entropy rays, data corrosion, technology tree clipping. Quantum information targeting. This unit can lock a single or group unit at a super long distance. Anti-entropy ray. This unit can attack life forms and erase part of the evolutionary content of the attacked life form. Data erosion. This unit can release infectious electronic viruses to destroy all relevant data of fixed technology. Technology tree pruning. You can choose a race and cut off a single branch of its technology tree. All information in the database, books, and other media that record this branch will be cleared or damaged. Note: technology tree pruning technology is limited to once per race. Burning core. Burning books and burying scholars. Gao Qiang looked at the characteristics of the burning core and widened his eyes. Originally, he thought that the burning core would be something like the Photon Intelligent Control Center or Quantum Matrix in the previous battle. As a result, the burning core really gave him a big surprise. Among all the characteristics, there is no ability that can be used for attack or defense. But what the burning core can do is simply many times more terrifying than simple attack or defense. These characteristics mean that they want to burn people's torsos and dig up their roots. Looking at the option button that was suspended in front of him and within reach, Gao Qiang tried to go to the data erosion point. Then, a red exclamation mark appeared in front of Gao Qiang. Please specify your target. Do you need to use quantum information targeting first? Thinking so, Gao Qiang clicked the targeting button next to him and pointed the target to the location of the intelligent machine in the star map. There was no problem when he clicked the data erosion again this time. Soon, a large number of new options were suspended in front of Gao Qiang. Please choose the technology you need to influence. Please choose your means of influence: 1. Destruction, 2. Blockade, 3. Encryption, 4. While holding the disaster, Gao Qiang rubbed his chin with his remaining hand. So many means of influence made him have some choice difficulties. But after hesitating for a moment, Gao Qiang still tried to press the blockade button. Then, among the technologies that needed to be influenced, he found the ultimate strategic weapon that the intelligent machine family liked to use the most: nanotorrent. Your command has been received. The next moment, an invisible data stream was targeted by quantum information to the star field where the intelligent machine was located. Under the premise of being unable to observe, the data flow directly poured into the intranet of the intelligent machinery, quickly replicating its own existence. When the intelligent machinery reacted, a large amount of redundant data had already filled the intranet of the intelligent machinery family, occupying every corner that could be reached. In the central main network, due to the influence of the outside world, Ward's own projection gradually became flickering. Unknown data segment found: execute the security protocol. Clear, clear. After all, the intelligent machinery has absolute control over the network, and a large amount of garbage data is being cleared at a very fast speed. But Ward did not find it. During the cleaning process, some redundant data quietly passed through the intelligent machinery units everywhere and crossed the huge intranet of the intelligent machinery. These data kept jumping in various units. Soon, the location of the nanotorrent transmitter was found. The real terror began to erupt at this time. Countless targeted redundant data quickly multiplied, completely occupying the network of the nanotorrent transmitter at a lightning speed. Because the final strategic weapons have their own independent intranets. When all communication methods were completely interrupted, the Omnics instantly lost control of this strategic weapon they were so proud of. Damn, have they already launched an attack? After learning that the strategic weapon had lost control, Ward finally lost his composure. This was the first time that the Omnics had lost on a network security issue since the war game began. In the past hundreds and thousands of years, no race had ever embarrassed them so much. All nanotorrents have been blocked. In the control room, Gao Qiang looked at the time again while looking at the information sent back by the burning core. It hadn't been long at all. That is to say, the Omnics had almost no resistance to the invasion of the burning core, allowing the burning core to win with a crushing advantage. A single data erosion had such a terrifying power. What would the technology tree pruning, which was limited to one time for each race, look like? Thinking in this way, Gao Qiang returned to the initial interface and changed the mode of burning the core to technology tree clipping. As for the target, he still chose the location of the intelligent machine. Just when Gao Qiang finished his choice, a complete technology tree appeared in front of Gao Qiang. The technology tree has countless branches. The main trunk alone includes a large number of categories such as information processing, basic physics, and advanced materials. And each main trunk has many small branches. Technology tree clipping is not as Gao Qiang thought, it can directly cut off a main trunk. This ability can only cut off the content of a single branch of one of the main trunks. From this point of view, it doesn't seem to be very powerful. Wait. Gao Qiang's eyes paused. He seemed to have found something amazing in the branch of the intelligent machine's technology tree. That is the branch technology from the main trunk automation process, intelligent evolution. This branch has a series of intelligent technology content such as simple intelligence, industrial intelligence, expert intelligence, and dangerous intelligence. Gao Qiang couldn't help but wonder what would happen if he cut off this branch. He did it right away. Gao Qiang directly reached out and selected the intelligent evolution, and pressed the cutting option. Then, Gao Qiang saw this branch slowly fall off the technology tree of the intelligent machine. Located in the central main network, Huade's eyes suddenly changed. He couldn't understand what had happened to him. But the development process of the intelligent machine's technology tree seemed to be heading towards another completely different path. No mission. Stand by. Lord of all people, am I the only one in the fallen empire? Author, MaleProtagonist. Chapter 475. In the star map, the entire gathering place of the intelligent machine seemed to come to a standstill in an instant. All the intelligent machine units that were working stopped their actions. At this moment, they were like a body without a soul. Alive, but not alive. Just by cutting off a small branch of the technology tree, it became like this. Gao Qiang stared at the picture in the star map, and his heart was shocked. Perhaps it was due to the peculiarity of the intelligent civilization. Letting them lose the intelligent evolution branch in the technology tree is almost the same as carrying out a genocide. But what kind of technology was used to make the burning core achieve such a terrifying effect? Could it be the law of causality? Gao Qiang tried to check his own technology tree. Sure enough, the upper limit of the technology tree in the 8th level battlefield was raised again. The technology that Gao Qiang currently possessed has touched the primary stage of causality, dimension, and other levels. The extremely powerful technology tree made Gao Qiang excited for a moment. But Gao Qiang soon calmed down and frowned at the same time. This is good news, but not entirely good news. Because this means that the upper limit of the technology tree in this battle is extremely high. The other civilizations have developed for hundreds or even thousands of years, and no one knows whether they have developed equivalent technology. Even if no one has developed equivalent technology, what about their final strategy? In their final strategy, there should be some weapons that can match the highest technology tree, right? When Gao Qiang thought of this, he couldn't help but be more vigilant about the various races in the Dark Ages. Sure enough, as the level of the battlefield increases, the danger to oneself will also increase. The various races may not be able to defeat the fleet of the fallen empire on the front battlefield at present, but if they fight for cross-galaxy strike force, it will still pose a considerable threat to Gao Qiang. At this moment, Gao Qiang suddenly noticed that the star map had changed again. Although most of the intelligent mechanical units remained stationary, but a few units began to show abnormal activities. Their behavior patterns are completely different from the previous orderly state, but instead present a nearly primitive and chaotic state. Those intelligent mechanical units seem to have completely become part of the assembly line, carrying out the tasks of transportation and patrolling according to a certain established procedure. However, due to being too rigid, two intelligent mechanical units often collided face to face, and ended up giving way to each other, and neither was willing to move first. What's going on? Gao Qiang muttered to himself. Could it be that cutting to the intelligent evolution branch of technology still cannot completely erase the intelligence of the intelligent mechanical units? Or are they rebuilding their own intelligence? Gao Qiang thought of a terrible possibility. That is, in his own cognition, intelligent mechanical silicon-based life must rely on other civilizations to be born. But what if the real intelligent mechanical is different from what he thought? What if silicon-based life actually evolved through a path that carbon-based life could not understand? Then cutting off the intelligent evolution branch is actually equivalent to reducing the human IQ to that of apes or even earlier. Although the IQ is lost, the human brain capacity remains unchanged. Even because other branches of the technology tree have not been pruned, it is equivalent to a person losing the ability to think, but still remembering all common sense and instincts. In time, these intelligent machines may evolve to the level of intelligent civilization through another path. Technology tree pruned, it is not invincible, Gao Qiang muttered to himself. He actually left a glimmer of hope for the intelligent machine family that was almost completely defeated. However, Yimen reminded at this time, didn't you find that something is wrong? What's wrong? Hearing Yimen's reminder, Gao Qiang was stunned for a moment, and then quickly reacted. Looking at the picture in the star map, At present, this intelligent civilization that is slowly reorganizing its intelligence seems to have lost an ability compared to before. Hide. That's right, they have completely exposed everything about themselves at this moment. High-intensity signals can better enable intelligent units to communicate with each other. Therefore, there is no such thing as hiding in the instinct of intelligent units. And according to the information about the Dark Ages that Gao Qiang had seen before, showing yourself in the universe so brazenly will only lead to one end. As expected, the next second, a golden beam of light flashed. The server carrying the central main network of the intelligent machinery was instantly destroyed, and all the intelligent machinery lords died in this sudden attack. Through the star map, Gao Qiang could see that it was the work of another civilized race nearby. Not only them, almost all the races that discovered the intelligent machinery had quietly prepared for the attack. It's just that the race acted faster, so it took the lead. Wait. Sasha suddenly jumped up. They blew up Sasha's bread machine, so what about the buns that the bread machine promised to Sasha? Are you still thinking about your buns? Gao Qiang looked at Sasha in disbelief. It can only be said that Sasha is worthy of her, with strong willpower and consistency. A bun can actually be remembered until now. Huh, of course. Sasha stamped her feet and puffed her lips at the same time. Lord, haven't you noticed yet? We haven't eaten for a long time. Didn't you just eat a pudding not long ago? Gao Qiang asked subconsciously. But he quickly reacted. According to what Sasha said, it seemed that he hadn't eaten for a while, and he didn't seem to feel hungry at all. Thinking of this, Gao Qiang looked at Zhu Luo with a curious look. It's because of the air in the space station. Zhu Luo opened her mouth slightly and explained. As she said that, she walked to an unmanned control table and called up the icon of the space station's nutrition system. Although I don't like this kind of technology very much, it is undeniable that this technology does have its meaning. As Zhu Luo spoke, he called up a detailed introduction to the nutrition system. The nutrition system in the space station will disperse the vitamins and minerals needed by the human body into the air circulation of the space station. In other words, eating air, which was a joke in ancient times, has actually been completely realized. In this space station, even if you don't eat or drink, you will be very healthy. Eating is no longer a necessary element for human survival. To do this, everyone will save at least 2 hours of eating time every day. So, in fact, Sasha is greedy, Gao Qiang suddenly realized. Whether you need to eat is one thing, and whether you can eat is another. Maybe eating is just a meaningless waste and enjoyment. But Gao Qiang can fully imagine how painful it would be for a foodie like Sasha to not eat for a few days. Lord of all people, am I the only one in the fallen empire? Author, Mi Shida Di. Chapter 476. No wonder Sasha cares so much about the buns promised by Omnic. Never mind. Sasha suddenly sighed and squatted in a corner lonelily. Sasha, just go to the trash can and find something to eat. Seeing Sasha's lonely back, Calamity thought for a while, got out of Gao Qiang's arms, and walked quickly beside Sasha. Then he dug around in his clothes, took out a few scattered candies, and handed them to Sasha. I'll give you some sweets and stop crying. Seeing this scene, Zhu Luo covered his face and turned his head to the side. You actually ask a kid for sweets, shame on you. At this moment, Wet Dream was paying attention to the farce in front of her, while inadvertently turning her head to the side and looking at the picture in the star map. As a high-power leader, she can see all the interfaces that high-power people can see, and she also understands the technology tree of the fallen empire. So she was a little puzzled. That means Gao Qiang's coordinates should have been exposed long ago. The fallen empire did not deploy any hidden technology, and when Sasha actively contacted the probe, she also used the full-power external communication band. As long as other civilizations are not blind, they should be able to find the coordinates of high power. But in fact, All of them were indifferent, as if they had not seen the communication band at all. Could it be that other human forces secretly intercepted the signal and helped hide it? Wyman looked at the vast universe in the star map with a scrutinizing gaze. Humans are really united sometimes. I just don't know if the hiding this time has any meaning. Hundreds of light years away, there is a planet that appears to be protected by a blue cover. A man wearing a black one-piece robe stood in front of an old man with his head lowered. Mr. Chen, the people under your command have already completed your instructions. The old man known as Mr. Chen nodded slowly and then looked into the distance. There are not many human lords who are still willing to enter this battle. Let's help each one. Besides, the time of prophecy is coming soon, and this war may soon come to the end of its life. As he spoke, a mandala pattern slowly appeared on the old man's back and then gradually disappeared. Come with me, the old man ordered and stepped forward. Yes. The young man bowed his head and responded, then quickly followed. Following the old man, the man had many thoughts in his mind. The old man's real name is Chen Yanchuo. He is a member of the astral courtyard of human forces and one of the earliest lords of mankind to enter the Dark Age. Many lords entered the Dark Age in the same group as Chen Yanchuo. Either they died under the attack of other civilizations, or they couldn't wait for time and withdrew from the war. Among them, those who are capable have advanced their path to the 9th level early and are on the road to the infinite battlefield. The only exception is Chen Yanchuo. For hundreds of thousands of years, he remained in this dark age. There is no thought of going to the infinite battlefield, and no intention of leaving here. No one knew what he was thinking, they only knew that he had been waiting for one day to come. At this time, Chen Yanchuo suddenly stood firm and stopped in front of an ancient stone statue. The man followed his gaze. It was a stone statue tens of thousands of meters tall, towering into the clouds, making it impossible for people on the ground to see his appearance clearly. Facing the stone statue in front of him, Chen Yanchuo suddenly said, "Aren't you always curious? The reason why I stay here?" The man nodded, "But Mr. Chen, you don't intend to tell me, so naturally I won't ask any more questions." "Who said I don't want to talk anymore?" Chen Yanchuo suddenly asked. "If you want to hear it, I can tell you the purpose of staying here right now." For a moment, the man looked like he had seen a ghost. "Mr. Chen, are you going to tell me your secret?" From a rational perspective, this is simply impossible. But Chen Yanchuo nodded firmly. Stepping forward, Chen Yanchuo walked to the foot of the stone statue and stretched out his hand to touch the toes of the stone statue. In an instant, a bright light enveloped the place. In fact, the star boundary courtyard is a force that leans towards the spiritual side, and the place where it made its fortune is also a plane world that is good at using spiritual power. The stone statue in front of him is the holy worshipped by Chen Yanchuo, and it is also the birthplace of all Chen Yanchuo's prophecies. Stroking the stone statue, Chen Yanchuo slowly said, "Thousands of years ago, I received an incredible prophecy. That prophecy mentioned the truth about war games and infinite battlefields. The truth about war games and infinite battlefield." Upon hearing this, the man's ears immediately pricked up. As a person who has been prepared to face war games since birth, he really doesn't know what truth can be contained in war games. Chen Yanchuo did not reveal the answer directly, but raised a question. "You said, are our enemies really our enemies?" The man looked a little confused. What else can our enemy be if it's not our enemy? Is it possible that we can still become our friends? Speaking of this, the man couldn't help but laugh out loud at his own whimsical idea. How can it be possible for all races to become friends after fighting for countless epochs? Of course not friends. Chen Yanchuo shook his head, but an inexplicable look flashed in his eyes. But when the truth is fully revealed, maybe they are not necessarily enemies. The man became more and more confused, so he couldn't help asking, "So what do you mean?" "I'm waiting." Chen Yanchuo raised his head and looked up at the sky. According to the prophecy, in the Dark Ages, a group of foreign lords are studying the truth of the infinite battlefield. When they raise the technology tree to the highest level, it is a sign that the truth will surface. That's why I insist on staying in this dark age and don't want to leave. I want to take this ride and witness the truth of the war game with my own eyes. Hearing this, the man spoke cautiously, "Then why are you telling me this prophecy now?" "Because according to the prophecy, the time is almost up. Several of the strongest civilizations in the universe have climbed the technology tree to the top, including those who are trying to understand the truth. Obviously, the opportunity to take a ride will be in the near future." Chen Yanchuo turned around and threw an olive branch to the man. "Would you like to go with me to witness the truth of the war game?" "I am willing," the man affirmed. But when the two of them said this, no one knew that a group of lords standing at the top of the universe were now in a state of panic. Seeing the technology tree that was about to be finished growing branches again and falling into an endless cycle, the lords couldn't help but feel a little frustrated. Why is the technology tree still growing? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord of all people, am I the only one in the fallen empire? Author, MaleProtagonist. Chapter 477. Among the lords who had such thoughts, one was a lord of gaseous civilization named Yuta. Countless gaseous clusters floating in the universe constituted a special settlement that belonged to their gaseous life forms. At the same time, gaseous civilization was one of the few god-level civilizations in the Dark Ages, and was a powerful existence that touched the dimensional barrier. And Yuta had another unknown identity. As a lord of gaseous civilization, he was also a member of a secret society. The members of the secret society came from all corners of the universe, and almost every existence came from the most powerful god-level civilization. But compared with the laws of the Dark Ages, they were more interested in the truth of the infinite battlefield and war games. Although they did not speak the same language, the same will brought these members together. However, such behavior was no different from betrayal in some god-level races. Could it be that the lords of other god-level civilizations did it? Yuta thought suspiciously. He did not think that the existence that could tamper with the technology tree was a simple character. Perhaps only a few old things in the god-level civilization could do such a thing. But since the lords of all parties are strictly guarding their own abilities, even if Yuta suspects, he can't be sure who did it. No, maybe there is someone who knows. A figure came to Yuta's mind. That existence is also a member of the secret society like him. Although they don't speak the same language, he has a way to communicate with each other. Just go and ask him. The idea flashed through Yuta's mind. At the same time, under the feet of the saint, a group of milky white mist suddenly rose up and floated in front of Chen Yanchuo. Who? Seeing the mist floating over, the man following Chen Yanchuo was shocked and subconsciously wanted to sound the alarm. "Yan Yu, stop." Chen Yanchuo suddenly spoke and interrupted the man's action. He turned his old face to the place where the mist floated, and said aloud, "This is an old friend of mine. Almost, I have known each other for 1,000 years." Chen Yanchuo silently calculated in his heart. Seeing that the mist had come close, Chen Yanchuo squatted down and picked up a piece of dust on the ground. Then he sprinkled it on the mist. The scattered dust turned into special patterns. Although Chen Yanchuo could not understand these patterns, he always believed the power of Holy would perfectly convey his meaning to the old friend in front of him. Greetings, plans, progress, smooth. The patterns of dust were transformed into words in Yuta's consciousness. For thousands of years, they have been communicating with the human in front of them in this way. Yuta has long been accustomed to this form of communication. He could understand that Chen Yanchuo was asking him whether his secret society plan was going well, and why he came to him this time. Therefore, the mist controlled by Wuda also quickly changed its form and turned into patterns that humans could understand. Yan Yu looked at the mist suddenly turning into patterns, and was stunned for a second. Then he reacted, "Is this hieroglyphics?" But soon, he denied his idea. "No, that's not right. These words seem to be very different from hieroglyphics." "It's a greeting," Chen Yanchuo said suddenly. Extending his old arm, Chen Yanchuo pointed to a pattern that looked like a slightly open mouth. "My old friend is sending us greetings." As for other aspects, Chen Yanchuo frowned deeply while analyzing Wuda's meaning. Veto, loop, infinity, prophecy. These words didn't make sense to Chen Yanchuo. This was the first time he couldn't directly understand what his old friend meant. What do loop and infinity mean? Is it related to peeping into the secrets of the infinite battlefield? With doubts in his heart, Chen Yanchuo understood the meaning of the next word. Prophecy. This old friend of his should need his own prophecy. This situation hasn't happened for a long time. The last time other lords in the secret society needed their own prophecies, it seemed to be hundreds of years ago. This time, I need to make my own prophecy. Could it be that the time has come? Think about it, after hiding for so long in the Dark Age, the lords of the god-level civilization should have almost lit up all the technology trees. Are we one step closer to the truth? Chen Yanchuo said silently. In fact, most of the members of the secret society have already been promoted to the 9th level and are qualified to go to the infinite battlefield. And they are reluctant to leave this Dark Age, of course, not without a plan. Walking away from Wuda, Chen Yanchuo once again put his hand on the toes of the saint and slowly closed his eyes. After a long time, Chen Yanchuo suddenly opened his eyes and gave Wuda a word. Upgrade. Upgrade. After receiving Chen Yanchuo's prophecy, Wuda left him. But after regaining consciousness, Wuda was a little puzzled. Because the question he asked Chen Yanchuo was that the technology tree suddenly faced an infinite loop, and he wanted Chen Yanchuo to help find the culprit through the prophecy. As a result, the prophecy gave a seemingly inexplicable content. What does upgrading mean? Is it to upgrade this war world? Well, if you want to guess this way, it's not impossible. It's just that Wuda couldn't imagine what the upgrade of the war world had to do with breaking the endless cycle of the technology tree. Perhaps this is the charm of prophecy. Since the direction of progress has been known through the prophecy, Wuda immediately began to contact other members of the secret society. Because the language and even thinking patterns are not interoperable, this will be a very difficult challenge. Fortunately, Wuda's ability to express is still good, and he finally handed the prophecy of breaking the infinite cycle of technology to every member. Upgrade. Let this world upgrade. Wuda has no doubt whether he and other colleagues in the secret society have the ability to upgrade the world. It's just a pity that someone has to pay the price for the upgrade of the world. The current battle situation has triggered a special event, Broken Dimension. The prompt of the war game appears in front of every lord in the Dark Age. Among them, Gao Qiang is naturally included. Gao Qiang is eating the food made by Zhu Luo at this moment. Because of coming to the 8th level battlefield, Zhu Luo's range of ingredients seems to be wider. The food Gao Qiang is eating now is basically made from creatures that Gao Qiang can't name. Because you took, Crystal Feast, Tentacles of the Golden King Worm, Fresh Skull Juice. Your hedonist talent has been satisfied. In this war, your people's war weariness minus 10%, cruelty add 20%, happiness add 10%. Lord of all people, am I the only one in the fallen empire? Author, Mi Shi De. Chapter 478. Because the hedonist's talent kept refreshing the screen. After a while, Gao Qiang remembered the news that flashed by earlier. Just now, did some important information fly over? Putting down the azure blue food that looked like lobsters in his hand, Gao Qiang searched for his message records. It took a while to find a different content among the large number of refreshing messages. The current battle situation has triggered a special event, Broken Dimension. Gao Qiang subconsciously turned his head and asked Yi Meng, who had been in the Dark Ages for decades, "Do you know what kind of event Broken Dimension is in the Dark Ages?" Faced with Gao Qiang's question, Yi Meng put down the giant spider leg with garlic in his hand. After wiping his mouth elegantly, he responded, "In the past few decades I have been there. I have not heard of any special events that will be triggered in the Dark Ages. So, this kind of event is probably quite rare, right?" After saying that, Yi Meng grabbed the spider leg that he had just put down again and put it to his mouth and sucked it. This is still the ingredient that Sasha wanted to eat: spiders, and Zhulo specially found it in the inventory of the space station. It was meaty and not too dry, fresh and tempting. Of course, Yi Meng would not regard this spider-like creature as her own kind. After all, she was not a spider. Seeing Yi Meng like this, Gao Qiang knew that he really couldn't get anything out of her. As for the answer just now, it was the same as not saying anything. When Gao Qiang was thinking about it, the alarm suddenly sounded again in the space station. The harsh sound attracted the attention of everyone at the dinner table. "What's going on again?" Gao Qiang frowned and looked at the source of the light. Didn't everyone in the Dark Ages try to hide themselves as much as possible? What's the situation here now? It's only been a short time since the Dark Ages, and the alarms are ringing one after another. How come I'm so lucky that all the races in the universe are rushing to me? Of course, it would be fine if it was just the alarm. Gao Qiang glanced at the small figure at the dining table with his peripheral vision. Under the alarm, Disaster pursed his lips, looking like he was about to cry again. Looking at the appearance of Disaster, Gao Qiang subconsciously took out the shockwave headset from his pocket and put it on himself again. However, at this moment, a figure rushed to the side of Disaster. "Disaster's sister." Sasha smiled and put her face close to Disaster, and at the same time handed a steak with ribs to Disaster's mouth. "Come, Sister Disaster, take a bite." "Ah." Disaster subconsciously followed Sasha's words and took a bite of the meat on the ribs. Seeing this, Sasha stretched out her greasy hand and touched Disaster's hair. "Meat is delicious, you won't be afraid after eating meat." Disaster is a brave child, right? Yeah, Disaster responded in a low voice, but really didn't cry out. Immediately, Gao Qiang looked at Sasha with a look of seeing a ghost. She actually comforted people. For many years, as long as they were not around Sasha. If Sasha didn't make others angry to death, it would be considered the merits accumulated by their ancestors for 8 generations. Even people around her would occasionally be choked to death by Sasha's careless words. As a result, Gao Qiang actually saw Sasha coaxing a child today. Looking at Yi Meng next to him with a suspicious look, Gao Qiang doubted, "Did you bring me into your dream again?" "Ah," Yi Meng raised her hands innocently, "I just had enough now, and I'm not hungry enough to eat you, okay? So it wasn't a dream. Sasha really knows how to coax people?" Looking at the Disaster that was coaxed by Sasha, Gao Qiang was surprised, but still relieved. Then he called out the intelligence system of the space station. "Why is the alarm this time?" A god-level civilization sent a message to the entire universe and tried to forcibly access our communication channel. Hearing the word god-level civilization, Yi Meng's ears moved slightly, and then turned around, and his expression became a little more serious. "But you can rest assured that during the alarm period, the information that tried to invade our communication channel has been perfectly intercepted." When the intelligence system said this, the alarm sounded. Gao Qiang's heart moved. He didn't expect that the incident would be solved passively not long after it happened. This so-called god-level civilization seems to be nothing big except for the name. "Speaking of which, can you show me the intercepted information?" Gao Qiang suddenly said. "The information content is being retrieved for you." Soon, the intercepted information was projected on the wall of the restaurant, but most of the content was in a language that Gao Qiang couldn't understand. "Let me take a look." Yimeng stood up and walked to Gao Qiang's side, scanning the information back and forth. After a moment, she continued to speak, "This is a notice." "Notice?" Gao Qiang was a little surprised. "Yes," Yimeng nodded, "remember the question you just asked me, about the broken dimension?" As she spoke, she pointed her finger at the information screen. "This notice is the culprit of the broken dimension incident, and it is an ultimatum sent to all races in the universe. There are 101 different language methods, 100 of which are languages that can be read directly, and the last one uses a general description mode that needs to be deciphered. But you shouldn't need it." Yimeng raised his hand, slightly manipulated the information projection, and adjusted it to a position in the information. "Human language happens to be among the 100 languages that can be directly read." Gao Qiang looked along Yimeng's hand. Sure enough, this area is full of languages that he can understand directly. "Hello, lords, this is a secret society. Some of you may know us, some of you know nothing about us, and some even regard us as rebels or crazy people with confused thinking. You are right. Here, we will regretfully inform you that the secret society is about to promote the upgrading of the universe. Such a great cause always requires a little sacrifice. So, the broken dimension event was born. We will burn 99.9% of the area in the universe to allow the remaining areas to be upgraded. So are you lucky or unfortunate victims? It turns out that the broken dimension event is to convert 99.9% of the area in the universe into energy." Gao Qiang finally got some understanding of this event. But the message did not end so quickly. At the end of this paragraph, the first 100 languages had one more message than the last language. That was a brief description of the survivors. As long as the lords of the races who could understand the first 100 languages did not have to worry about the upgrade. Because there were members of these races who participated in the secret society. Lord of all people, am I the only one in the fallen empire? Author, Mi Shi De. Chapter 479. Therefore, most of the 0.1% of the universe that can be upgraded is divided up by the birthplaces of these 100 races. Yimeng followed Gao Qiang to see this place. Then, Gao Qiang heard her sneer. "Giant civilization, gas civilization, goblins, cave dwellers, humans, undead. There are quite a few god-level civilizations in this so-called secret society. Of course, the god-level civilization she mentioned is limited to this dark age. Because they developed the best in this dark age, they can be called god-level civilization. But after leaving the dark age, Yimeng did not think that the other party could be greater than himself. After thinking about it, Yimeng turned his head and prepared to pour cold water on Gao Qiang. Although humans are included in the list, you don't have to think about it. As for why, you will know when you open the star map." According to Yimeng's meaning, Gao Qiang called out the star map system carried by the space station. Then Yimeng pointed to a corner of the universe. "Look, this is the birthplace of the human lord." The location she pointed to was obviously separated from Gao Qiang by countless light years. "You mean, we are not included in the space that will be upgraded this time?" Gao Qiang quickly understood what Yimeng meant. But he didn't seem surprised. Because according to the characteristics of the fallen empire, when he enters the war game, he will not appear in the birthplace of any race. So it is reasonable to stay away from the regular birthplace of humans, and it is not worth Gao Qiang to make a fuss. Seeing that Gao Qiang was not scared, Yimeng felt that it was a bit boring, so she didn't continue to mention this topic. And Gao Qiang continued to read the news of the secret society. The previous paragraph has not yet reached the end of the information. Because the secret society does not intend to do things too radically. In the Dark Age, there are thousands of races, but there are only 100 races in the area that can be upgraded. In this way, all the remaining races will become their enemies. Among those races, there are some mythical races whose lords have not participated in the secret society. Against a race with 100 times the number of its own, the secret society will not do such a stupid thing. Therefore, the secret society is ready to leave a glimmer of hope for each race before burning the universe. Every once in a while, the secret society will release a cosmic coordinate point, and the uninhabited star field where the coordinate point is located is the area that can be upgraded. As long as the lords of other races go to these marked uninhabited star fields before the broken dimension event, they can safely upgrade with the secret society. Good tricks. After reading this paragraph, Gao Qiang couldn't help but admire. Unexpectedly, on the way to becoming an enemy of the entire universe, the secret society could actually think of using this battle royale-like mode to divide the relationship between the races. After all, now is the Dark Ages, and the races cannot conduct normal diplomacy and communication. Therefore, it is extremely difficult for the more than 9,000 races that are excluded to unite together. There is even a lot of danger in it. Because they were not sure what kind of mentality the foreign lords they were facing had. In contrast, going to the safe area given by the secret society became a safer thing. But the size of the safe area would definitely not be able to accommodate the lords of all races. This is like the final circle of the battle royale mode. If you want to survive, you must eliminate other lords from the circle. The secret society wants to make the universe chaotic and force all the hunters hiding in the dark forest to come out in full force. On the one hand, the secret society can keep all the actions of other races in its eyes. On the other hand, the secret society can perfectly separate itself from the chaos. By then, the Dark Age will be completely chaotic, and naturally no race will have the energy to fight against the secret society. In the next information, the secret society gave the coordinates of the first safe area. However, the first coordinate point is too far away from Gao Qiang. Gao Qiang, who knows the personalities of his people, has no idea of going to this first safe area. Suddenly, Yimen opened his mouth again and made a suggestion: do you want to go to the birthplace of humans? As a human lord, if you go to the star field where humans gather, other lords should be able to accommodate you. But I'm not here to survive, Gao Qiang suddenly said. During the period when he first entered the Dark Age, he did relax a little after fighting against the intelligent machines and took a break for a while. But Gao Qiang did not forget the purpose of entering the Dark Age. If his purpose was just to find a place to spend his days, wouldn't it be easier to spend his days in any 8th level battlefield than in this Dark Age? When Gao Qiang entered the Dark Age, he saw the dangers of the Dark Age. And now that the secret society wants to disrupt the entire Dark Forest, isn't it just what Gao Qiang wants? You said before that some god-level civilizations did not join the secret society, right? Gao Qiang suddenly asked. That's right, Yimen nodded, and then suddenly reacted. Wait, are you going to offend those god-level civilizations? Yes. Gao Qiang raised his lips. I have thought of a good way to cheer everyone up. What do you think would happen if our territory was located in the center of one of the safe zones? It would be terrible, Yimen said. If it were any other 8th level battlefield, perhaps some lords would communicate with Gao Qiang, or even form an alliance with him to make some concessions. But it's different in this Dark Age. The communication cost is too high, and the uncertainty is too great. Instead of communicating, it's better to destroy Gao Qiang's territory and monopolize the entire safe zone. In fact, the same is true for other safe zones. All races will inevitably suffer heavy losses in the competition for the relevant safe zones. But Yimen is almost certain that the final winners must be those independent god-level civilizations. The number of foreign lords eliminated by god-level civilizations is far beyond the imagination of conventional civilizations. Due to the rules of the Dark Age, every time a foreign lord is killed, the right to choose the final strategy can be obtained. In terms of combat effectiveness, God-level civilizations and conventional civilizations are completely unequal. No. Yimen suddenly discovered a blind spot. You only say if, but have you ever thought about it? The universe is so big, why does the safe zone fall at our current coordinates? In Yimen's opinion, Gao Qiang has never communicated with the secret society, nor is he a member of the secret society. So why would the location of the safe zone satisfy Gao Qiang's wishes? You are right. Gao Qiang nodded. Then he smiled and looked at Yimen, and they looked into each other's eyes. But don't I still have you? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Lord of all people, am I the only one in the fallen empire? Author, Me Shi De. Chapter 480. Me? Are you serious? Yimen pointed at herself in disbelief. Do you think I'm a god, or are you still dreaming? Why don't I know I have this ability? To create a universe-level event like the Broken Dimension, it is not something that a single god-level civilization can do alone. Although Yimen is quite confident in herself. But let her slap a group of god-level civilizations one by one and order them to open the safe zone to Gao Qiang's coordinates. Yimen can only say, I can't do it. Of course, she just thought about it in her heart, and Yimen still couldn't shout out such shameful words. Watching Yimen's expression constantly changing, it was as wonderful as a palette. Gao Qiang couldn't help asking, what are you thinking about? I mean, can you deceive a sufficiently powerful race through the ability to compile dreams? As long as the race thinks that the safe zone is here, it doesn't need to make the safe zone really appear here. So that's what you mean. After listening to Gao Qiang's explanation, Yimen breathed a sigh of relief for the time being. If it was just to trip up a god-level civilization and trick them, Yimen thought he could still do it. After all, who hasn't experienced god-level civilization? As long as they still have fear in their hearts, they will always be god-level civilizations, not gods. After relaxing, Yimen leaned back in his chair and asked casually, so do you have any requirements? Requirements, Gao Qiang thought for a moment, requirements are nothing, as long as they are not weaker than us. Having said this, Gao Qiang thought he had made his words very clear. He needed a strong enough race to wake himself up. This is really not a simple request. Yimen wanted to say it was easy, but after subconsciously thinking of Gao Qiang's current technology tree, he still held back all the words he wanted to say. Although Gao Qiang's current highest technology is only in the early stage of the dimension, it is comparable to the god-level civilizations of all parties. But the introduction of recycling technology makes up for this shortcoming very well. The size of Gao Qiang's technology tree is more than 30 times that of a regular god-level civilization. Even if it is the same dimensional attack, the combat power that Gao Qiang's subordinates can burst out is not comparable to that of ordinary god-level civilizations. Of course, the same is true for defense. If Yimen is looking for an ordinary god-level civilization, in the case of a single civilization, it may not necessarily bring pressure to Gao Qiang. Hiss. Took a breath of cold air. Let me think about which civilization can do this alone. Yimen stood up, holding his forehead with one hand and pacing back and forth. After a while, a light bulb lit up above Yimen's head. I think I have it. How about this civilization? As he said, Yimen dragged Gao Qiang to the star map and began to operate on the star map. Soon the picture was pulled to a corner of the universe. In Gao Qiang's vision, there was no civilization in the picture of this star map. There were only mineral planets spread across an entire star field. From time to time, there were glimmers of various colors on the surface of those planets, giving people the feeling of some kind of mineral crystal. This is a god-level civilization, a gathering place for the Krista people, Yimen explained. At the same time, She pointed her finger at the crystal-like light spots on the surface of the planet. As you can see, there is no sign of life in this star field. And most conventional civilizations that come here will be deceived by the rich minerals here and think that this is a relatively safe mineral star field. But in fact, these crystal-like things are the bodies of the Krista people. Hearing this, Gao Qiang suddenly thought, you mean, the so-called Krista people are actually stone life? If it is true as Yi Meng said, then stone life should be regarded as another new life form outside the two major life camps of carbon-based and silicon-based life. Yes, it is stone life, Yi Meng nodded. At this point, she couldn't help rubbing her chin and fell into memories. The Christians are born without any concept of fear, and their hearts are as hard as iron and stone. Therefore, it is very troublesome to eat them. After thinking about it, Yi Meng gave an appropriate metaphor. It's probably like you humans eating crabs, there is a layer of shell that you need to peel off. Crab? What crab? Sasha's little head poked over from the side. It's none of your business, go away. Gao Qiang pressed Sasha's head back again. Then he gestured to Yi Meng, go on. Yi Meng nodded, and his thoughts of recollection were not interrupted. The Christians are not just as strong as crabs, in fact, their offensiveness is not weak at all. Unlike most other civilizations, the root of the Christians' technology tree is called order and chaos. The special technology tree makes their attack methods unique, and ordinary defense methods can hardly fight against them, including the dimensional technology you used before. If it is them, they may really oppress you to that extent. It sounds like it really meets my requirements. Gao Qiang nodded. Then he raised one last finger, but before that, I have one more question to ask. Do they have miracle items? You're asking the wrong person. Yi Meng shrugged and looked at Zhuluo behind Gao Qiang. Zhuluo immediately understood what Yi Meng meant and walked forward naturally, approaching the star map. In fact, if the Lord's goal is only miracles, it shouldn't be difficult to find. As he spoke, Zhuluo enabled the search mode of the star map. Soon, countless results appeared next to the star map. Searching, miracles. Existing options found, 179,917. 170,000 miracles. Looking at this outrageous number in front of him, Gao Qiang was really surprised. Shouldn't miracles be very rare? What is the concept of 170,000? It's enough to send more than 10,000 miracle lords into the infinite battlefield. This is the dark age of war that has lasted for 1,000 years. If it was the 8th level battlefield that had just begun, Gao Qiang couldn't believe how many miracles there would be. 170,000 is not a lot. Lord Zhuluo seemed relatively calm. You have to know that 170,000 is the number of the entire universe. There are more than 10,000 existing races in the universe, and there are no less than 100 million lords like you in each race. You feel there are many miracles because our vision covers every corner of the universe. And for those other lords, 170,000 grains of sand are scattered in the sea. Can they guarantee that they can definitely fish out one of these grains of sand? Lord of all people, am I the only one in the fallen empire? Author, Mi Shi De. Chapter 481. Zhuluo's words made sense, and Gao Qiang also realized that he was obsessed. Yes, the area difference of the map is really too big. If you look at the entire universe, 170,000 miracles are too few. Speaking of which, is the current consumption rate of miracles normal? Gao Qiang suddenly asked. Under his gaze, the miracles searched by the star map are decreasing rapidly. At this rate, it may not take long for these miracles to be consumed. After hearing what Gao Qiang said, Zhuluo also looked at the existing number of miracles. In this short period of time, the number of existing miracles displayed has decreased by dozens. Looking at the numbers that are still jumping, Zhuluo frowned deeply. No, even if some races are forced to engage in a melee due to the problem of the safe zone, the miracles should not be consumed so quickly. According to Juluo's estimate, if it continues to be consumed like this, it will not take more than half a month at most, and all the miracles in the universe will be consumed. So fast, Gao Qiang frowned. In fact, Gao Qiang already had some guesses in his mind. Just now, the secret society wanted to burn the entire universe to upgrade the world, and there must be something to rely on. Perhaps, they are consuming these existing miracles. If that's the case, we don't have much time left. Gao Qiang calculated that in just half a month, he not only had to let the god-level civilization oppress him to awaken. He also had to seize at least one miracle before all the miracles were consumed. Only in this way would his trip to the Dark Ages not be in vain. Otherwise, this trip to the Dark Ages would have no meaning at all. We have to move faster. Feeling the urgency of time, Gao Qiang's mentality also changed a little, and he was not prepared to waste more time at the moment. Turning his eyes to Yimeng, "It's up to you next." "Okay, then leave it to me." Yimeng smiled slightly, gently raised her fingers, and a flashing meteor floated across her fingertips. "Then next, it's Dream's home court. The gathering place of the Krista people. This is a world where even light can't illuminate. Because the crystal bodies of the Krista people can absorb all the light and heat and synthesize the energy they need. But today, everything seems to have changed. The scorching sun shines on the planet where the Krista people live, dispelling every dark corner. As the light continues, the crystals that were originally scattered all over the surface of the planet suddenly shook. Click click. The crystals gradually separated from the planet. Due to the slight gravity of the planet, these separated crystals quickly flew out of the gravitational range of the planet. The crystals that escaped from the planetary orbit showed an amazing speed. With just one acceleration, they were far away from the location of the planet. And behind them, a scorching sun came at some point and completely swallowed up the entire planet. Someone is attacking us. Such a thought flashed through the crystal thinking network of the Krista people. But we don't know who it is. As a stone life, it is quite easy for the Krista people to survive in the Dark Age. Even if foreigners discover them, they will not treat them as lives. And the Krista people are also not a race that likes to kill. Therefore, they really couldn't think of who wanted to destroy them. Logically speaking, they didn't have any enemies at present. Could it be related to the previous communication? Another thought flashed through the crystal network. They naturally received the communication information sent by the secret society to the entire universe. As a god-level civilization, the Krista people were also forcibly connected to the communication by outsiders for the first time. At the same time, they could understand how sinister the secret society's practice of setting up a safe zone was. It seemed to give each race a ray of life, but it was better to say that it was preparing to detonate the explosive barrel of the dark forest. As long as the survival zone was reduced to a certain range. In order to survive, the other races had to leave their hiding places and compete with each other. Originally, the Krista people didn't plan to fight for the first safe zone. After all, there should be many god-level civilizations in the universe who are also eyeing there, and it is not a wise decision to fight for it now. But the scorching sun that swallowed the planet just now made them change their minds. Since their position has been exposed, what difference does it make whether they fight for this safe zone or not? Anyway, they have no chance to hide any longer. Thinking this way, the Krista people confirmed the coordinates of the first safe zone in the universe. Take it and shock other god-level civilizations. If there are other lives at the coordinates when we arrive, then, destroy them. In a few words, the Krista people have confirmed the strategic goal in the crystal network. Although they are not easy to kill, they are not a brainless and ignorant race. To become a god-level civilization, the Krista people have naturally adapted to the values of the Dark Ages. Compared with the Alliance, eliminating other races is obviously the most cost-effective thing. However, the advancing Krista people did not know that their every move was under the watchful eyes of a certain existence. And the coordinates they received were completely wrong. In the space station, Yiman raised his lips slightly. They are coming towards us. It seems that the dream I wove has successfully deceived them. That's right, there was no sun that devoured the planet from beginning to end. What these Krista people saw was completely different from what happened in reality. Of course, if they didn't hide, dying in the dream woven by Yiman would be what really happened. Gao Qiang gave Yiman a thumbs up. It has to be said that the almighty mythical race of dream weavers is really useful. And Yiman, as a special subject of Gao Qiang's Lord Path, will not suffer from the various negative effects of the fallen empire. Even if you use it at will, there is no pressure, and most of the time you won't be unable to use it. As for the Krista people who are rushing towards him, Gao Qiang waved his hand, summoned the panel of the burning core, and checked the other party's technology tree through the technology tree clipping. The main body of the Krista people's technology tree is composed of two parts. Order and chaos form the two halves of the Krista people's technology tree. First of all, in terms of order technology, from basic lattice reorganization to advanced crystal acceleration and dimension calibration, all belong to this half of the technology tree. The ultimate technology of this half of the technology tree is a special technology called Cosmic Harmony Resonance. Cosmic Harmony Resonance. Introduction: we will resonate with the basic structure of the universe to strengthen the physical laws we know and suppress all unnatural phenomena.